Phantasmic Journey podcast being brought to you by Tascam and Amazon Studios. For more than 30 years, Tascam has developed products for every segment of the sound and music industry. From the high-end audio professional in a major post-production studio to the novice of hobbyist at home, Tascam is everywhere. They are a company, Commitio Solutions, that enable breakthroughs by using sound in ways that are exciting as they are accessible, even recording the voices of the dead. You asked for a non-scripted paranormal TV show. You begged for a non-stage present to you Season 1 of The Paranormal Journey. It was released October 31st, 2017. In this series, we show you what it's like behind the scenes and conducting a real paranormal. Kelly, Paula Purcell, and their special guests to seek out the existence of life after death by going to numerous haunted locations such as jails, hospitals, and museums, collecting compelling evidence by means of video, photography, and EVPs. In this season, the crew investigates the St. Albans Sanatorium, Old South Pittsburgh Hostel House Pizza, and the famed Monroe House. And you can watch Season 1 of The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown on Amazon.com right now. Season 2 and 3 will be coming soon. Your journey begins now. As you call the path and of the known and unknown, what do we understand? What answers are we trying to achieve? Are there answers? Tonight, we gather to find more verity. Join us as we take the journey into the unknown. This is the Phantasmic Journey podcast with your hosts, Gavin Kelly and Paula Purcell. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Phantasmic Journey podcast. We are coming to you live from the PGH Studios. Syndication is brought to you in part by WCGT Radio Live and Live 365. You can listen to the live broadcast via the Live 365 app for Apple or Android phones, and if you like, you can use your PC too. Just go to www.live365.com. Search for WCGT Radio Live. Now on with the show. We've got a lot of strange things going on out there in the paranormal realm these days. What weird and wacky, crazy stories do you have for us tonight, Paula?
Well, I have a couple, but I always start out with a location. So,
okay.
Started a series last week. And we had one in Clarksville, Tennessee last week. And tonight, we have one. It's kind of hitting the eastern part of Tennessee, and it's in a town called Elizabethton, Tennessee, and the location is called Gwendolyn's House.
Gwendolyn's House.
And it's an old abandoned house. I'm not too sure exactly where it's at. I don't even know if it's still standing.
Okay.
But the legend tale is, it's a short and sweet, not really sure what went on in this early 1900s house, but people have
wow, tongue twister tonight? Come on, get with it.
It is located right off of the Bristol Highway. Witnesses say there is a heavy activity in the house, not surrounded by any living occupant, so it's an abandoned house out in the country. Ghost dogs are what appeared to be a little girl and a ghost that will tell you to leave. There's also a woman in white who has been standing at the window looking out across the valley. And as the story that's been told about it, I have not found any history on this house. But I have found a picture, and it's just a two-story abandoned house out in the woods. The picture is dated 2 years ago, so if it's still standing, I don't know. I have found a couple of YouTube videos online where people have went out there and investigated it, and they have had a team talks about they end up running away from the house because of unforeseen things that happen in the house, as one of them being barking dogs running down the hallway towards you, but there's no dogs.
Right. Kind of like us with a bouncing ball down the hallway.
So, it's a black dog that they see. But that's about as all I know of it, but I thought it was a cool little story, and I threw it in there for tonight. Now, the main story, because I'm on the dwindle on history and the national stuff today, but today's main story, I'm trying to bring it up, my phone's being stupid, like everybody else's Facebook out there being stupid.
Yeah. Not only Facebook crashed, Instagram crashed, and everybody decided to go over to Twitter, and Twitter crashed.
And then the WhatsApp, too, that crashed.
Lovely.
Yeah, so I don't think either one of us has a WhatsApp. But here it is. A plane bound for Malaysia was forced to turn around after a mother on board forgot her baby at the gate over the weekend, according to Gulf News.
I still don't understand that. I really want... I want to be the fly on the wall during that situation. How the hell can you forget your baby? I mean, first of all, either it's in a stroller, so you're going to be pushing it.
Oh, it gets better. I found more about the story.
Or it's in a car seat, and you'll be carrying it. Obviously, this person was either too... what's the word I'm looking? Distracted, either on their cell phone or she's doing Instagram, talking to her girlfriend, and completely forgot her kid.
She was on a flight from Judea to Kuala Lumpur, where she remembered that the baby was still sitting in the boarding area.
Okay, sitting as in a chair, in a high
chair? No, as in at the gate.
Whoops.
The pilot ultimately decided to turn back around after discussing the situation with the flight controllers. Air traffic control operation at King Abdul International Airport appeared flustered on a recording of their conversation hit YouTube. There is a video.
Oh, this will be neat. I gotta see this.
The video has over 1 million views, but there is a video of the conversation somewhere on YouTube. I have not found it yet.
Is it in English?
I have no idea. But according to the paper, the pilot can be heard saying, "May God be with us. Can we come back or what?" to the air traffic control operator. This flight is requesting to come back. A passenger forgot her baby in the waiting area, the poor thing, the operator says, before asking the pilot once again for confirmation. A passenger left her baby in the terminal and refuses to continue the flight. The pilot can be heard saying in English. Okay, head back to the gate. This is totally a new one for us.
Wow.
So, I mean...
I still want to know what the baby was in.
I don't know, but I'm sure...
I mean, once again...
There's going to be more story
a stroller,
to this.
She would be pushing it. A car seat, she'd be carrying it. What was so distracting to this woman to forget her kid at the gate?
I don't know, but... There's probably going to be more story to this once it comes.
Oh, I bet there will be.
We have to find the video and probably watch it after a while.
Yep.
But anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah.
Word and interesting, but okie dokie.
Well, it kind of gives you the concept of, well, she got excited about getting it turned around, but yet poor Kevin's mother in Home Alone didn't get to have that opportunity.
No, because they didn't realize it until they were on the plane, wasn't it?
Yeah, they were on the plane halfway.
Yeah.
Halfway, just like this woman was halfway till she realized that she don't have her baby.
I don't think they got that far. They maybe took off, and then she realized she left a baby. Yeah, Home Alone, yeah, you're right. They were halfway to their destination. They're not going to turn around.
Poor mother. She ended up having to be sitting with a polka band on the way back trying to get back to her son. Well, today is National Samaritan Day.
Yay.
How many of you been a Good Samaritan today? The day is also known as a Good Samaritan Involvement Day.
Who comes up with all these things? Today is National Pencil Day. Pancake Day. Who comes up with this?
Yesterday was National Pancake Day. That was started with IHOP. IHOP started that one, and that's how that ended up becoming. And it happened about 6-7 years ago, and it hit. And it's just became one of those deals that International Pancake Day happened on March 12th every year.
Does it have to be G-rated?
I don't know.
I'm going to come up with National Clusterfuck Day.
Okay.
That's today.
Okay.
The day when Facebook Instagram and Twitter went to hell.
Oh, I'm pretty sure this is going to make a history headline.
Yeah, it is. National Clusterfuck
Along
Day.
with the big storm that's coming outside.
Oh my God, we're going to be hit with a cyclone bomb. Yikes.
The term Good Samaritan comes from the Bible parable where a Samaritan helps a stranger who had been robbed and beaten and left to die by the side of the road.
That's not a Good Samaritan. A Good Samaritan is helping an old lady across the road.
No, the term Good Samaritan, no, that's the story that's in the Bible.
Oh.
Let me finish. The Samaritan not only cleaned the man's wounds and clothed him, but took him to an inn where he was paid for the man's care. He found the man. He was being a good Samaritan. The term is used today to describe those who perform acts of kindness for those in need, especially those who are strangers.
Okay. Makes sense now. Somewhat.
Today in history, the U.S. Army launches the Canine Corps. On this day in 1942, the Quartermaster Corps of the United States Army begins training dogs for the newly established War Dog program of Canine Corps. Well over 1 million dogs served on both sides during World War I, carrying messages along the complete network of trenches and providing some measure of psychological comfort to the soldiers. The most famous dog to emerge from the war was Rin Tin Tin.
There's a movie about him.
Abandoned puppy of Germany war dogs found in France in 1918 and taken to the United States, where he made his first debut in 1922 silent film, The Man from Hell's River. As the first bona fide animal movie star, Rin Tin Tin made the little-known German Shepherd breed famous across the country. In the United States, the practice of training dogs for military purposes was largely abandoned after World War I. When the country entered World War II in December of 1941, the American Kennel Association and a group called Dogs for Defense became a movement to mobilize dog owners to donate healthy and capable animals to their Quartermaster Corps of the United States Army. Training began in March of 1942. In that fall, the QMC was given the task of training dogs for the United States Navy, Marines, and Coast Guard as well. And that is a tradition that is still going on today.
Cool.
And that is all I have.
All right. Well, the moment you all been waiting for. He has been investigating the paranormal since 2010, with his first big investigation being the famous Waverly Hills. During that investigation, he saw and heard things that he could not explain, which fueled his curiosity to find answers. He has been a part of several teams, with the latest being the one that he is a founder of, Rednecks and Rainbows Paranormal, or R&R Paranormal. Also in the late 2017, he created his own company called Paranormal Adventures Events, and he's the 2019 booking agent of the 2019 booking agent. He has also had several events featuring the Tennessee Race Chasers, Amy Bruni, Katrina Weidman, Jack Kenna, etc. As a company, he tries to take the roads less traveled and take patrons to the little-known or less commercialized locations and try to keep the numbers small so that they can get evidence. At his events, they introduce new investigation techniques and equipment, as well as usually provide food in the form of catering or food trucks at each event. Ooh, food truck. Taco truck! Oh, sorry. He has also previously been featured on My Ghost Story, Caught on Camera in 2012, and worked on a documentary about hauntings involving, oh, you're going to love this, involved in the Hatfield and McCoy feud. As well as he's currently working on a series, oh, get this, called Truth and Legends in Your Hometown, which will air on Amazon Prime and Hulu in the fall of 2020. I'm talking about the one and only Greg T. Justice. Let's bring him on. Greg, are you there?
I'm here.
Hey, man, how's it going this evening?
It's going good. How are you all?
Well, if we didn't have this Facebook crisis, we'd be doing pretty good.
I know. I thought somebody had reported me earlier, and I was like, "Who went and reported me?" And that I can't go on here and do comments and things.
Oh I know. Tell me about it. Here, I thought that I got hacked. I mean, I can finally post, but I can't comment. I tried to go in I tried to go in and edit my post, and it won't let me. I can't even copy and paste pictures. It comes up and says, "There's no photo been uploaded." Okay.
Yeah. Well, there'll be some firings at Facebook tomorrow. That's all I gotta say.
Yeah.
Whoever's responsible for this debacle.
Oh, I'm sure it's a bunch of people just going to be like, "No, you're not going to do this again now, are you?" Jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, going through and reading your biography here, we are going to go ahead and start off like we always do for all of our guests. I didn't see anything within your biography that basically stated when did you have like an experience when you were younger? What got you into the paranormal before you went to Waverly Hills?
I did. I was probably about 4 or 5 years old, and I was in my bedroom, and I was basically upset with my dad. I guess we had gotten to an argument or something like that, and as I was sitting there upset, I look up and I see my Uncle Scotty. Well, the thing about that is my Uncle Scotty had been dead since I was like 2 years old.
Oh, wow.
And he basically just told me, that not to be upset with my dad, that arguments happen, and he was just being my dad. He had to protect me and things like that. Mm-hmm. Well, remember that happened until I was about 13.
Oh, wow.
And then about the time I was 13 is when the first paranormal show come on in the U.S., which happened to be Most Haunted, which turns out now a lot of that was faked. Yep. But it still sparked my interest enough to say, okay, well, if they're over there getting this kind of stuff, let's, stuff in the United States is also haunted. Mm-hmm. And then I started talking to one of my friends that was also a customer, because I'm also a pharmacy technician. I have been a certified technician for about almost 20 years, ever since I was 18. And me and her had started talking about it one day, and she's like, hey, let's just go find somewhere to go and investigate. And the one that came to both of our minds right off the bat was Waverly Hills.
Ah, gotcha.
We went to one of the most haunted locations in the country as our first paranormal investigation. So
you just got thrown into the lion's den.
Oh, yeah.
So, what did you experience at Waverly Hills?
I went up the first hallway and was taking pictures. I didn't see it with my naked eye, but in the pictures, you can see there's a purple like mist in the middle of the hallway, mm-hmm. and then it goes up to the third picture is at the bottom. The fourth picture is gone.
Oh, wow.
And some of our group had also gotten touched in several places, especially in across from room 502 on the 5th floor.
Uh-huh.
We were doing an EVP session up there, and 2 or 3 of the girls that had went with us had gotten touched in the back, like simultaneously. Like it was like bam, bam, bam. Like one got their shirt pulled, one got touched on the small of the back, and the other one got poked.
Oh, wow.
Like all right in a row.
Huh.
And then while on the 4th floor, we were standing in the dark, and I don't know how long it's been since you've all been there, but it's like it was yesterday in my mind because it was so weird that it's just something that sticks with you. It's like you were standing there, trying to do an EVP session, trying to get pictures and things like that, and they have holes in the wall. Well, every so often you would see a child's head in one of the holes in the wall.
Oh, wow.
And then you would blink and it would be gone, and maybe 30 seconds to a minute later it would be in a different hole, in a different room.
Right.
And then the final thing before we left was me and my friend Gina, who I helped co-found East Kentucky Paranormal Society, which was the first team that I was a part of when I lived in Pikeville, Kentucky, far eastern Kentucky. We ended up being the only two people in the whole building by ourselves, which we did not know at the time. And it was about 3 or 4 in the morning, and we heard this big crash. It sounded like something either fell or hit a big metal sink.
Oh, wow.
And then me and her looked at each other and said, what the F? And we just stood there for about like a minute or two, and I was like, maybe one of us should go see if we can find out what happened. So we cautiously went room by room and ended up finding a big metal like sink, a really, really deep sink, but nothing had fell on it, nothing had fell in it. And then after we got back down to the gift shop, which is, I guess, the safe area they call it at Waverly, after you go back to the underground tunnel that goes underneath the road, we were talking about it, and people that wasn't even in the room at the time come in there and said, what was that huge crash? Did you all do that? And we're like, no. And they're like, we heard it all the way outside. They heard it in the gift shop.
Jeez.
And they hardly ever hear anything in the gift shop. I was like, we don't know what it was. I said, we found a sink that we think made the noise, but there was nothing in or on the sink that would have made the noise. And when the noise was made, it was like 2 or 3 doors down from where we was actually standing, so we could have seen if anybody had actually went in there and done anything.
Oh, man. That's crazy. We haven't experienced anything like that, but I've had my name said. And that came through the SB7 while we were in the morgue. So, yeah, that's just a little freaky.
I've also got a couple of pictures. I've got like a phantom staircase on the first floor that's outlined in light, but there's no staircase there, but it looks exactly like a staircase with like 2 or 3 steps up.
Really?
And and I asked Tina and some of her staff if they ever knew that if there was a staircase that used to be there or whatever, and they said not that they knowed of, but it doesn't mean that there couldn't have been.
Yeah. Huh. Yeah. I where was the staircase at? What floor?
I don't remember the exact area, but I think it was in one of the rooms where they have the pictures and stuff painted on like out in the hallway. It was in one of those rooms going like it was either past the morgue room or it was before you got to the morgue room. And I remember that picture was taken during like the historical tour part of it, so that was still actually during the daylight hours when that was taken.
Okay, so that's the first floor where the morgue's at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't remember the exact room it was taken in. I just know it wasn't the morgue room.
I'm gonna go with the room where they put the "Welcome to Camp Crystal Lake."
I hate that room.
Okay.
She was afraid to go in that room. It was hilarious. What?
I don't remember that room. It may have been. They may have painted that after I was down there. I'm not really for sure, but
oh yeah, well, they made they turned it into a haunted house for the first floor. So they still left some of their stuff in there, and that room was Camp Crystal Lake. It had the pier and everything, so it obviously was nice and dark, and then Jason comes up out of the floor or something like that. I don't know. But she's like, I don't like this room.
Well, even the MF1 went off in that room.
Oh, I know, right? Well, that was weird.
And I was like, that even made it more unsettling. I was like, oh, great.
Jason coming to get you.
I hate that movie.
I always thought that, like, even, like, when you were coming down from the upper floors to go back to the gift shop area, it always felt to me like something was following you down that hallway, like trying to hurry you out.
Yeah.
Like you wasn't welcome in there. So.
When you went, that door before you go out to go down the stairs, Was that big door in front of you open, or it's a big steel door that raises up that separates that floor to the death tunnel? Was that open when you went?
I think they open it when they have like private tours and stuff in there, but I think more or less most of the time it's closed.
Yeah, no. When we were there, it was closed. We actually had to go around to the other door for the death tunnel, which is kind of weird. I think we had to walk down like a small corridor to actually get to the death tunnel. Yep.
But it was like half outside, half inside.
Right. But see, if that one big steel door that raises on up, if that wasn't there, instead of going to the right, opening that door and going down the stairs to go to the gift shop, all you have to do is just go straight and you'll head straight to the death tunnel.
I don't know if that door was there when I was there or not. I don't remember anything like that, but
I know
like I said, it's been years and years ago, so well, I haven't been back since. That's pretty much the only place that I haven't went back to that I've investigated.
Wow. Well, the first time we went, that door was open. It didn't. I didn't see it. It was open. We could just walk straight on down the hall, all the way from the morgue, straight to the death tunnel. And there was no stop, pass, go, collect $200. It was just straight on shot. But
I think when I went there, it was even before they opened the nurses' wing up, because they had just discovered that wing, and then they hadn't cleaned it up or anything to allow guests to go into that wing yet. So, you know,
you're talking about
that was way back. So.
You're talking about the nurses' wing on the 5th floor?
No, there was an extra nurses like living quarters or something on the 1st floor.
Yeah. I know where that's at. Yeah, I saw that the first time we were there. I don't even think we went in there on when we were there the second time.
I think that's the one they had padlocked, because they had one section
That's
flagged
right.
off because they
Yeah.
put all the Halloween props in there,
Yeah,
and they locked the
that's
room
it.
up. They
That's
said
it.
we had 95% access on the second trip. They did have 2 rooms blocked off because they did have costumes and stuff like that, and makeup and all that locked it behind 2 rooms.
Yeah, that's right. So that was basically, because the first time I went, they had a big, huge stage in there that you could sit on, and it had chairs all around it, and it was kind of like a lounge, what it looked like.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the nurses' wing. Yeah, I've been in there. We had a lot of periscope activity go off and some thermal, which was interesting. Yeah.
Well, see, the first few years that I went to Waverly, I could only get people that would actually just go to the haunted house with me. And the last year that we went into the haunted house, before I actually got somebody to actually go and do a private investigation with me, was the year that Michael Jackson died.
Oh, wow.
And then, like, when we were standing out waiting to get into the haunted house, Thriller started playing, and here come all these zombies out of the woods just dancing and going on. It was pretty cool.
Oh, jeez. Remember, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, and it was a fitting tribute to Michael Jackson, that's for sure.
Oh, wow. That would have been interesting to see.
And you didn't know it was going to happen. The Thriller just started playing, and here comes all kinds of people out of the woods dressed up as zombies, and they're doing the Thriller dance and all that, and you're like, this is freaking cool.
Oh, wow. So, Waverly was your biggest one. What was the next one that you went to?
I think we just done some local stuff around eastern Kentucky for a while.
Like residential?
And then, residential or graveyards or whatever, like local haunts that we'd heard about. And then I think the next one after all that was actually Old South Pittsburgh.
Yeah, we love Old South Pittsburgh. We got some crazy evidence there.
Oh yeah, I've gotten the full spectrum of any kind of evidence that you ever want. I've gotten it at Old South Pittsburgh.
The best thing that we got is an EVP of the elevator doors opening and closing at the new nurses station.
Yeah, dinging, yeah. That happens quite a bit, especially with people that come in there that are skeptics, and then the elevators, whether it be residual or not, is like, well, I'm going to show you. So
Right?
we're going to ding, and there's no electricity to the elevator.
Yeah. Well, besides dinging, you can hear the door open, and then it shuts, and then you hear it go up.
Yeah, well, usually it just dings. Like you'll go by it and not expect it, and it just goes ding, like it's landed on that floor or something.
Oh God, no! Well, we heard it open, and it actually had time for like whoever to go into it, and then it shut, and it went up. It was so cool.
But we have found out through research why it does that, and when people come back to Old South Pittsburgh after the grand reopening on March the 23rd, you'll get that during the presentation during the tour. You'll find out why the elevator has a mind of its own.
Is it residual?
Not really.
Oh.
It's kind of half and half. Yeah.
Ours happened about 11:30 at night.
It did.
Between 11 and 11:30.
which I was thinking it was the shift change.
Yeah, it may have been, and I've even talked, like when the IRS took the building over, I had talked to the lady that it was over the auction for the IRS, and the elevator even dinged on her, and it scared the holy shit out of her. She's like, I'm not going back in that building by myself. There's going to be somebody with me. She said, the elevator dinged on me, and she said, I know it has no power.
Yep.
And I was like, yep. I was like, I'm sure it did.
I'm surprised that's the only experience that she had going through it.
Oh, it wasn't. That was just the one that freaked her out the first time. And she's like, she said the next few times, she said I would go in there with people trying to put locks and stuff in. And she said they'll go in there once, but she said I'd never get them back again because we'd hear doors shut or we would see figures of people walking by when we knew there was nobody else in the building with us and all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, since I'm a musician, a signed recording artist, that we don't use tripods when we investigate. We use the heavy duty round metal mic stands. We use the mic pole, and we clamp our DVR cameras to it. So
yeah.
Well, Paula was sitting at the new nurses station. This is the first time we were there, and she's watching the DVR, and this camera has no wires attached to it. It is just a DVR camera with 2 wires dangling for it to be hooked up once we run a line to it. Well, me and the camera guy were up on the 2nd floor in OR2, and we're doing an EVP session in there, and we got like someone breathing. And when I come walking on out, my radio goes off, and she's like, I've been trying to get a hold of you for the longest time. And I'm like, okay. And she goes, we have equipment damage. I'm like, what do you mean we have equipment damage? And she told me, she said she was watching the DVR, and out of the corner of her eye, she saw the entire stand just get pushed over like someone just kicked it over. The camera hit the floor. The weather sheath that's on it for weather protection flew off, cracked the glass, and she said, the camera's down. She thought I was going to be pissed off, but I was like, cool. So I go downstairs, and she said, I've been trying to hook it up. It won't work. So I go down there, and I hook it up, and it worked just fine. But it was just amazing.
What floor was it located on when it happened?
The new nurses station.
You know where the
first floor?
Well, it's a 2nd floor. It's kind of
Are you sure? So the OR's on the 3rd floor?
Yeah, the OR's on the top floor.
Oh, okay. So I was on the 3rd floor. She was on the 2nd floor.
Yeah, because it's right there by the ICU unit, where ICU used to be at.
Yeah, there's something that hangs out in ICU too. I've here recently, probably maybe 2 or 3 months ago, I was down there helping fix up the building with the new owner and things like that. And me and another girl from my team, and Renee, who's the general manager, we were all there together. Well, the girl from my team had to use the bathroom, and the one that's in the ICU was the one that we could use at the time. Well, me and Renee was standing out there talking, and we heard her, like, we thought she was in there talking to herself, like, you know, going on like a whole conversation with herself. I was like, what is she doing? Why is she in there talking to herself?
Maybe she's on the cell phone.
Like, I thought she had lost it. And I was like, what were you saying to yourself? She said, I wouldn't say nothing. She said, I thought you all were out here talking. And I was like, no. I said, we were listening to you because we was trying to figure out why you were having a full-blown conversation with yourself. And she's like, I wasn't saying nothing. And I was like, well, there was a woman talking, and she was having a conversation with either herself or somebody else.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Because we were at the nurse's station, and, you know, you just go to the left and go back to the ICU, and it's not the first room, but like the second room in the ICU that the bathroom is in.
Yep.
I mean, we were close enough that we could hear her if she was talking, so... And she's like, yeah, I thought you all were just, you know, kind of close or was passing the door talking. I was like, no, we was standing right here.
Yeah. One of the things that we had that was kind of cool, it was an ICU. We were sitting on the couches and started playing a sound that on the phone that mimicked the EKG. And then it goes to a flat line. Well, once it's doing the EKG sound and then it drops to a flat line, all of a sudden we heard boom, 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 boom on a door. And it sounded like to us that, you know, the person went flatlining, so the nurse is banging on the door trying to get in. Well, he was with us, and he goes, if you were the one that made that banging sound, can you do it again? Believe it or not, without fail, it actually did it again on command. So Brandon thought maybe there was a squatter in there. So he kind of inches on up to the double door, reels back, and kicks the door open like some kind of hero. And
nothing was there.
Nope, nothing was there. But they went ahead and went through and started looking around, and they actually found the door that had the exact same sound, because they were knocking on all different doors, and they actually found the sound that mimicked that what happened then. But before that, we had the Periscope 360 down, and it was actually going off. And it looked like someone was standing next to it, and then they kind of just walked around it, and then out of ICU. And we could actually see it from watching the Periscope 360. That was my Periscope
That's
360,
cool.
Wasn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, that was freaky, though. So, but we've been having a few ideas that we want to do at Old South, because they say that there is something there that some people have captured, half man, half goat. Heard about that?
I have not seen that. There is a weird shadow guy up on the third floor, which I do have a picture of him, and it's very rare that I'm to this day, I'm the only one that I know of that has a picture of him. And if you look really closely at the picture, he's mimicking a child. He's like the shadow person is the size of a child.
Okay.
But you have to look really, really close, and he is actually holding another entity under his arm, trying to to keep it from getting away or something. I'm not really for sure.
Oh, wow.
But it looks like he's holding another child spirit under his arm so it won't get away. And I took that picture in 2013 and did not know that I had caught that until 2016 when I was getting ready to go back again, because there were several years that I didn't go back at all.
Right.
Just because I lived in Kentucky at the time, and logistics and money and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
And I was going back through my old evidence, and I said, what the hell is that? And usually with my investigations, I'll either go through and right at the beginning or right at the end, and sometimes both, and take pictures everywhere. And you know how it is with investigations. Sometimes time gets away from you. You don't get to go back and look at stuff like you thought, or you misplace the evidence and you run across it later, things like that. But I tell you what, if I knew he was there when I was taking the pictures, my butt wouldn't have been there. I would have been somewhere else. And when I see you, I'll have to show you that picture because it's the craziest, like, creepiest picture that I've ever seen in my life.
Well, we got one similar to that. We were at the Weldon Manor, Central City, Kentucky, and we've heard the story about Maggie. Maggie's a little girl, and she likes to play there. Well, we heard this weird noise, and without fail, Paula started snapping pictures, and she snapped this one picture, and when I kind of sort of blew it up, what I saw was a young girl, and you can see full facial features, the hair, everything. The little, looks like she's wearing a gown. And there's this weird creature with a large cranium. I say it's a demon. I don't know. It looks like it. And on the other side of this demon is a little boy. Basically got his arms around Maggie and the little boy. And we got a picture of this.
Controlling him, more or less.
Yeah, basically. And we got that picture.
Yeah, Weldon Manor it's got some messed up stuff in it, too. I had a public event there last year in May, and we had a lady get jumped, and whatever jumped her, it took about 15, 20 minutes to get it back out of her.
Wow.
And I seen a 150-ish pound woman pick up a 350-pound man and slam him up to the side of a brick wall, and she had him about 2 foot off the ground.
Damn.
And that is physically impossible for a 150-pound woman that does not work out or anything like that, just a normal body type woman.
Right. Huh.
And if you actually looked at her face, her facial features had changed. And the only way that we knew that whatever had jumped her was gone was her face went back to normal.
Get that on video?
She was trying to bite people. She was spitting like salt water on people. She was all kinds of stuff.
Damn, did you get that on video?
We did not get it on video, unfortunately, but there was...
But getting it on video is the best thing.
I myself had went to get food for the event because, like I said, or like you said, and me and one of my other team members had went and bought food and was bringing it back, and when we pulled up, this whole scene was happening, and she looked at me, and she looked at me like the evilest look I've ever seen in my life, and I knew that something had happened.
Yeah. Well, here's a funny one that happened. This is our second time there, and we were heading towards the X-ray room on the first floor where the car is. And Joe's walking in front of me, and all of a sudden he stops cold. He said, like, dude, I just like hit a brick wall. I'm like, huh? He goes, yeah, I've experienced this before. I know what this is, and I'm not going any further. I basically, I looked at him and said, you pussy, get out of the way. So I walked around him, went into the X-ray room, and I put a digital recorder on the X-ray table and a ghost meter on the other side. And as I turned to walk out, I looked at him and I'm like, what? Like that, right? And right when I did that, 2 hands were on my back and shoved me clean out of the X-ray room.
Yeah.
And
about that same place, me and my friend Gina again, we ghost hunt quite a bit together, which we did before a lot more than we do now because I live in Tennessee. But when I lived in Lexington, I guess that was 2016, we had gotten a group together to go back to Old South Pittsburgh again, and that's happened to be when I ran upon that picture that I was telling you about too.
Right.
But we were getting ready to leave on Sunday morning. We were taking our stuff out, down the hallway, out the ER.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she was in front of me, and I was walking, I guess, maybe a foot behind her or something down the hallway. She turned around to talk to me, and she seen what somebody looked like a hand in front of her face because it had completely blocked out me or her from seeing me.
Oh, wow.
So, and we was in complete dark, so we both started snapping pictures in the complete dark. And when we went to edit them or went to look at them, there was one picture that we seen something like a tinge of something like that we could see in the darkness of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
And then we put it through a filter that it's called a negative filter that changes the black to white and the white to black.
Mm-hmm.
And then there he is, a 6 foot tall burly shadow guy. And evidently that was what was in between us, because I was taking pictures her way and she was taking pictures my way, and we caught him. And neither one of us are that. I'm 6 foot, but I'm not the size of 2 or 3 men put together.
Right. Wow.
And she is not either one. She isn't 6 foot, and she sure isn't the size of 2 or 3 men put together.
Man, I wonder how Old South is going to come alive when all them people start coming in.
Well, it's alive now, and it's probably going to be off the charts when all the people start coming back in.
Mm-hmm. All that energy.
Yeah, especially with them not having really anybody to talk to.
Well, they have all those workers to
they've
talk
got
to.
the staff that's been helping restore it and remodel it. There's about 20 of us that are down there pretty regularly. Some of us are down there more than others. But basically right now, anything that was negative in the building before has been kind of very, very quiet or not making itself known, but other than just a few temper tantrums every now and then on the 3rd floor. But that's basically because everybody that's in there right now loves the place, and we're doing stuff to improve the place.
Right.
But like you know, when you get the public in there, you have all kinds of other personalities and this and that, and it's hard telling what's going to be awoken in Old South Pittsburgh when the public gets back in there.
Oh, yeah, because you'll have people coming in there that has negativity, or they are negative, and they just walk on in there, and yeah.
I mean, spirits can tell.
Oh, God, yeah. And they can sense fear, too.
Yeah.
Anybody that has fear, they're going to latch on and just hang on.
Yeah, I mean, we've even gotten EVPs lately that says, that they enjoy and are happy with what we're doing with the building. We've gotten one EVP that says, well, they're making it smell better.
Wow.
Well, at least they have a sense of humor.
Okay, how's a spirit going to be able to smell?
I have no idea, but they're it's smelling better in here anyway. So
it's probably
who knows?
It's probably a satire.
I've even had an EVP before, like several years ago, in the geriatrics area that said we smell like lavender, and it was talking about my laundry detergent because that's.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, I don't know how they smell. I didn't know that they could smell.
Yeah, I know. What?
Yeah. Well, it's just like my daughter when we went to investigate. I think it was the second time. I didn't tell my daughter different areas because my daughter is more sensitive than I am, and she's one of those. And I wish she doesn't get into. I try to get her into the paranormal, but she's backed out of it. But she has more. And we had went to OSR, and I let her walk around with me because we were running lines.
Not OSR.
Well, OSPH. Well, anyway.
I'm like, she didn't go to the Ohio State Reformatory.
Well, anyway, we were going down the geriatric ward. I didn't tell her where we were at. And we had gotten down to the room where all the shoes used to be at. I don't know if the shoes are still, but the room that had
that's Murray's room. Yeah.
Okay, well, where the shoes are at. She walked in there. She says, "It smells like an old person." And the deal is, and she's like, "Is this the area where the old people were at?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Well, it smells like them." And I was like, "Well, the hospital's been closed for a few years. How can you smell that?" She goes, "I don't smell it."
I don't smell it.
And she's like, "It does. It smells like old people, and there's old people in this hallway."
Mm-hmm.
And she picked up on all that and everything. And she was only 18, 19 years old at the time.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, she has a more powerful ability. She needs to learn how to use it, but she don't do it. She won't do it.
Nope.
Yeah. See, I don't tell a whole lot of people, but I'm an auditory empath. I can hear them most of the time more than I can see them. And I can also walk into a room and feel like the energy changes in the room and pretty much know if something is standing in the room or is walking towards me or behind me or anything like that by the way that my body reacts to what's around me.
Oh, that's cool. I wish I had a gift. Although, I'm kind of thinking that I'm an empath, but I'm not too sure. We were at Benton Farms. We had Joe, we had Eric Connor, and Paula were up in the attic. I wasn't feeling very well. I guess everything just got to me. I was just getting over being sick. So I said, I'm going to go ahead and lay down in the living room. So I'm just laying there resting. And they're up there doing an EVP session and also using his gateway. And all of a sudden, Gavin comes across the thing. And right at that split moment, I get a feeling of I'm feeling a heart attack.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it hit hard like it was a heart attack. And I wound up rolling over, crawling, because I couldn't walk, over to base camp, pick up my radio, and called Paula to come down. And I said, what happened? And they asked me up there, it's like, well, your name was said. And we put two and two together. As soon as it said my name, I experienced a heart attack. So I had to actually get out of the house, go over to the truck, and I started feeling better. But I don't know if, I was being shown what someone went through, or if there was something in there actually giving me pain. I have no clue.
Yeah. Yeah, I had something similar happen to me at Hell's Bar. There's a possible, they say it's an elemental in the second building after you go through the tunnels and you make a right to go into the other building. It usually stays on the second or third floor. Well, he does not like you trying to take a picture or trying to catch him on camera in any way.
Oh, nice.
And one of the first times I was there last year, I was trying to take pictures to try to catch him on camera, and he just hauled off, and it felt like somebody actually punched me right in the heart.
Ooh.
Like I was getting ready to walk into a room, and it was like wham, and they had to carry me out. They had to take me off that floor and carry me out of the tunnels before I felt better.
Jeez.
And that's also happened to a couple of my team members. He made one physically ill, and he also done that to my co-founder of R&R Paranormal Brawler, that he made him felt like he was having a heart attack or was short of breath, and they thought they was actually going to have to call an ambulance for him and take him to the hospital.
Jeez.
Because he couldn't get his breath.
It's amazing how they can actually have that much power over a living person. It's crazy.
And every time it's happened, it's been when somebody's been trying to catch him in a picture or on film.
Huh.
So I got to where I told people if I took them in there with me, when we get up to that second and third floor, do not take pictures and do not try to film if you value your health, because he will make it known that he does not want his picture taken and he does not want to be on film. And you'll have to be carried out of here, and we don't want to have to carry you out of here on a stretcher and take you to the hospital. because it was very possible that could happen.
Is it that room that's kind of like a closet on the second floor?
No, it's the room. The room that I got hit in was the one that had all the styrofoam blocks or cubes in it.
Oh, were the holes in the floor? Where do you have all those?
Yeah, and the holes where the holes were in the floor. Yeah, and it's also happened up on the main third floor where they have some equipment and stuff. But that's his main area to hang out at. Is up there.
Okay. Yeah, because I went ahead and filmed a walkthrough a long time ago when we were there. First, we got done filming at Old South Pittsburgh, and then we were invited over to Hale's Bar. And we were going to go ahead and actually try to investigate it, but first of all, it was too cold, it was windy, and it was raining. It was misting, and it was raining, so we couldn't do it. But Jeff Weaver went ahead and took me on a walkthrough, and I filmed the walkthrough, and we went everywhere. I mean, there were just so many places that we went to. So I kind of know exactly where the styrofoam one's at, and I know where the holes are in the floor. But I'm trying to figure out. Are you talking about on the main floor where it's overlooking where all the boats are and the whirlpool? That area where all the electronics are?
It's back in the other building, the building that's half underground.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and the very first time that I actually done a walkthrough with one of the property managers at the time, it was just me and that guy walking through there by ourselves, and he was telling me the history and all the stories and some of the activity and stuff that was happening to him, and I was I was recording all of that. And well, when I got home, when we were standing there talking on the first floor in the second building, the building that's half underground, there was a big, huge man, or a big, huge voice, really deep man's voice that hollered, "Get out!" And neither one of us heard it, with our own ears at the time when we were talking. And then I called him back, and I was like, "You have got to hear this EVP." And he was like, "Oh, my gosh." I was like, "Yeah." And, it completely drowned both of us out. What we were saying to each other, it drowned us out. It just didn't want us in there.
Yeah, that's truly amazing about that, where you're not hearing it with the naked ear, and your equipment is picking it up. We got the same thing. I have to let you watch the video, but we were in the cage area of the U.S. Marine Hospital, and I'm fidgeting around trying to get the millimeters set up so I can start checking the area, doing a baseline. Well, I didn't hear anything. She didn't hear anything, but I heard my name. I think it said my name twice. But I let a few people listen to it, and it sounded like someone said, it said my name, and then the second part was, "Can you play with me?" So, I don't know, but we didn't hear it at all. It didn't show up on the recorder, but it showed up on the camera, which is really bizarre. And I mean,
that's crazy
loud
too, because sometimes you'll have 3 recorders going, and you'll only pick up an EVP on one certain recorder.
Yeah, because it also depends on where they are to that recorder.
Yep.
So, well, all right, we are at the top of the hour here, and we're going to have to go ahead and take a commercial. So if you've been listening to the Phantasmic Journey podcast with our special guest, Greg TJ Justice, and we will be right back after these messages.
Keyboard cats are some of the internet's most beloved pets, and they all have one thing in common. Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard, that's optional. Start Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Okay, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. So mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. Socks going first, then shoes, right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops, the rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
How's it going?
I'm having a stroke.
Are you going to shake my hand?
I'm having a stroke.
Wow, you're not even moving your arm.
I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
The storks are bringing me a baby brother. We can do this together.
All right, let's go.
Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you?
What?
Oh my gosh, you don't know.
I know.
You don't. Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No.
Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this.
You will rock this.
To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the right seat.
Cool. Very cool.
Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
People been saying to your friend, get a different face, and posting on their feed, they're super ugly. The things they say to them online are cruel and they're not true. So tell your friend, I'll stand up for you. Don't worry, I know what to do.
Know someone being bullied online? You can be a witness and make a difference by letting the world know it isn't cool and by letting your friend know you care. Learn more at eyewitnessbullying.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
I spend a lot of time in the backyard, and I'm the center of attention at summer barbecues. In '96, I made some of the tastiest s'mores. And in '09, it was me, your backyard fire pit, that accidentally started a wildfire when a summer breeze carried one of my embers into some dry brush.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Hey everyone, let's all stop what we're doing and take a moment. You see, every moment can be kind of special. But they can be loud moments, goofy moments, dorky moments, it doesn't matter. Because every time dads like us take a moment like that to spend with our kids, well, it's pretty momentous. So let's take a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Hey, let me ask you something. Would you seat your 3-year-old child on a windowsill? Would you seat them beside a lit fireplace or by the deep end of a pool? One last question. Would you seat your child in a car seat that's not correct for them? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Secure their future. Seat them in the correct car seat. For more information, visit safercar.gov/the right seat. A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad
Spend
Council.
a lot of time in the backyard, and I'm the center of attention at summer barbecues. In '96, I made some of the tastiest s'mores. And in '09, it was me, your backyard fire pit, that accidentally started a wildfire when a summer breeze carried one of my embers into some dry brush.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
What if I told you that a tornado was going to happen tomorrow, right where you live? That it would touch down at exactly 3:17 p.m., and I told you the exact path it would take. You would, of course, prepare. You would talk with your loved ones, and you'd make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a tornado will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you have a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
The Phantasmic Journey Podcast is brought to you by Tascam and Amazon Studios. For more than 30 years, Tascam has developed products for every segment of the sound and music industry. From the high-end audio professional in a major post-production studio to the novice of hobbyist at home, Tascam is everywhere. They are a company committed to providing their customers audio and video solutions that enable breakthroughs by using sound in ways that are exciting as they are accessible, even recording the voices of the dead. You asked for a non-scripted paranormal TV show. You begged for a non-staged paranormal TV show. You begged and you pleaded, and we have listened. We present to you Season 1 of The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown. It was released October 31st, 2017. In this series, we show you what it's like behind the scenes and conducting a real paranormal investigation. Join Gavin Kelly, Philip Purcell, and their special guests to seek out the existence of life after death by going to numerous haunted locations such as jails, hospitals, battlefields, and museums, collecting compelling evidence by means of video, photography, and EVPs. In this season, the crew investigates the St. Albans Sanatorium, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, Jailhouse Pizza, and the famed Monroe House. And you can watch Season 1 of The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown on Amazon.com right now. Season 2 and 3 will be coming soon.
All right, and welcome back to the Phantasmic Journey Podcast. We are coming to you live from the PGH Studios. Syndication is brought to you in part by WCGT, Radio Live, and Live 365. You can listen to us live via the Live 365 app for your Apple or your Android phones. And if you want to use your PC, type in www.live365.com and just search for WCGT Radio Live. And if you're currently joining us now, we are talking to Greg TJ Justice. He is the owner of Paranormal Adventures Events. He is a 2019 paranormal booking agent. He has had numerous events featuring the Tennessee Race Chasers, Amy Bruni, Katrina Weidman, and Jack Kenna. Let's bring Greg back up on the show. Welcome back, Greg.
I'm here. Sorry, I had to go get my kid out of the car. I kind of forgot him. No, I'm joking.
You forgot him in the car at the market, right?
Yeah, I forgot him in the car. They've been down there for like 3 hours. I don't know how I forgot him that long, but...
Well, at least you didn't have to turn a plane around.
Right? Right. Well, at least you didn't have to turn a plane around. Right? Right. 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 Oh, man. Can you just imagine someone... I can just see this now. First of all, you got this plane that turns around. Now, watch something happen where someone's going to forget their kid in an Uber.
Oh, yeah.
I think someone's going to find... If they left their kid in an Uber, I'm pretty sure that driver will find that parent.
Probably not.
I don't know, some of the Uber drivers that I know, they'll be like, I don't remember who I dropped off or where I dropped them off.
Right. I mean, you got to think about it. You got this car seat that's up against the door, like behind the driver, and he's just driving. He ain't going to remember that there's a kid back there, especially if they're sleeping.
Well, I'm going to say a kid's going to get hungry or get dirty.
Well, he'll be just driving, all of a sudden you hear this.
That's that smell.
He'll be looking around going, probably smell his armpits, and he'll probably look at the person who's sitting in the back seat, and they're going to be like, no, it wasn't me. And they're going to point to the kid.
Yeah.
There's a kid in the back seat. Oh, my God, who's it belong to? Yeah, I'm thinking it'll be kind of hard to actually try to find the exact same driver that has your kid, because Uber... I think that when you ask for an Uber, it just cycles on through. You don't know who it is.
Well, I think it goes by who your closest Uber is to you, I believe.
And then after you pay your driver, you don't know about who the driver was. I think you actually would have to call the main company, like customer service, just to even get back up with the driver. Because I mean, it's even hard. Like if you leave some of your personal belongings in Uber to even find the driver who drove you to where you needed to go. And I would imagine it would be just as hard if you left a kid in the car.
Take the car all the way back to your house, put it in the garage. You're like sleeping, you hear this baby crying, like, we don't have a baby. Going up to the garage and there's a baby in the car. Oh, man, I can just see that. That's going to be a new movie.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. Anyway.
Uber daycare.
That's what it'll be called. Uber daycare. There you go. Oh, man. So, kind of give us a rundown how or why you decided to create your own event company called Paranormal Adventures.
Well, it started back, I guess, in 2015. I was working for Toyota Manufacturing in Georgetown, and I was supposed to be working in their pharmacy that's on site as a technician, but where I worked for a temp company, they could basically put you anywhere they needed you at any time in the factory. Well, I happened to be online one day on the car line, and I was holding up a hood with one of my hands, and there was another employee on the other side. Well, she took away her hand before I was expecting her to, and it basically bent my wrist back.
Ooh.
And because of that, I had to have 2 surgeries on my right wrist.
Ooh.
Well, no matter how good of surgeon you have or how many surgeries you have, nothing is ever the same after it's injured the first time, no matter how good they put it back together or what they do for it.
Right.
So after that, I had 2 surgeries in 2017, but even after that, I had continued to have problems out of my wrist. And a lot of times the problems were bad enough that if you worked for a normal employer, they didn't really understand that you still have problems with your wrist. And sometimes when you go in, your wrist doesn't work. Oh. You can't write, you can't type, you can't do anything. And that's just the nature of the injury that I had. And I kind of got into a place where I was like tired of working for people that didn't appreciate me coming in working for them, even though that I was injured and I do have like a 10% disability in my right hand and my right wrist. So I decided, well, let's just take a big wild leap and create my own company of something I love doing, investigating the paranormal, teaching people the paranormal properly, and it basically just stuck. I mean, the wild leap of faith, it worked out.
That's cool. And you've had a lot of big names at your events, too.
I have. Actually, the way that I got hooked up with the Wraith Chasers was they actually contacted me, and it was my only my second public paranormal event. But the reason that they contacted me was they liked that I was doing my events differently, and they liked that I always name my events with a catchy name. And the event that they actually wanted to be a part of was called Gentleman Jack Paranormal Event, and it was kind of named after different whiskeys, Jack Daniel's whiskeys.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because the public paranormal event was actually taking place in Lynchburg, Tennessee, which is the home of Jack Daniel's Distillery.
Right.
So every event that I had at that location, I would name it something different. The first was named Black Label, and then the second was named Gentleman Jack. But after the Gentleman Jack, the location actually shut down for paranormal investigations and stuff, because I'd had plans to go on and name it after other Jack Daniel's whiskeys, but unfortunately it didn't get that far.
Gotcha. Huh. Well, I noticed that we'll be talking about this later on once you get the floor to go ahead and plug in all the events that you're going to be having and who's going to be there. But yeah, I already know that you're going to have Amy Bruni at one of them.
Yes.
What in the world?
Yep.
Wow, my computer is just going nuts over here. It keeps playing something about Skype. What in the world? It's like my laptop's coming alive, and I don't want Skype. Why is Skype on here? We don't use Skype. I mean, gosh, when you use Skype, it basically turns everything into a rubber band, and it's just horrible. Nobody wants Skype. Daggum. Huh. I figured this out here. Uh-oh. Where'd my screen go? Oh, my goodness. So, anyway, one of the main questions that Paula always liked to ask everybody, and she's in the middle of a tweet right now.
Well, I have teams that always talk to me 24/7, so we know how that goes.
Well, of course, because we got this big project going on that, I think Greg's heard about it. It's called Truth or Legends in Your Hometown.
I just love some of the teams.
Yeah, I may know a little bit of something about that, yeah.
I just love some of the questions that I get, and I'm just like, I'm pondering, how do I answer it? But yeah, one of my questions is what got you into, well, you kind of told me in the beginning what really got you into paranormal. What stepped up the plate to make it to where you feel like you need to go out and start investigating?
It was what happened to me at Waverly Hills. That by far has been the most life-changing experiences and things that I had. And it was just basically, I was like, okay, all this weird, strange stuff happened. Now let's go figure out why it happened.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we already discussed that. Where were you?
Well, I mean, that's usually, I've asked for the history background. You just beat me to it.
You were busy tweeting.
Well, sorry. I had people...
But that's not the question you usually ask. You don't remember?
No.
Really?
Yes.
You only...
I've slept since last Wednesday. I've been on different kinds of pain medication since Wednesday.
Oh, okay. I'll let you slide on that. She normally asks, what is the most memorable
location that you've ever been?
And that you experienced something
out of the extraordinary.
There you go. That was teamwork.
Well, there's been a lot of places, but I think as a whole and collectively, it's Old South Pittsburgh, because anymore, every time that I go in there, there's always something that happens to me. I mean, something will talk to me. I'll hear something will step out the doorway and look at me and say, "Oh, it's just you," and step back.
Right.
It don't literally say, "Oh, it's just you." It'll just look at me and say, "Oh, it's you again." So, and yeah, literally since I've been going there since 2012. I mean, there's just been so much happen to me in that building, and it's one of those places that if you are away from it for any amount of time, you're wanting to get back there, and you're trying to figure out how you can get back there and when the next time you can get back there. So it draws me back to it, and I think a lot of other people also feel the same way about that location, and that's basically why the 20 or 30 of us are there helping remodel and open the location up to the public, because we have such a love for the location that we didn't want to see anything happen to it.
So you're basically attached to the building.
Yeah, and more or less, I think some of the stuff in the building has become attached to me, because there is several spirits and entities there that doesn't make themselves known very often. And here within the past year, I have experienced every one of them. And I also experienced one of them the very first time that I went there, which is the White Witch, which a lot of people does not know that there's a White Witch in there. But she basically come at me like full frontal to my face and disappeared about 6 inches before she actually touched my face.
There is a white witch.
A white witch, yes.
So where did
she doesn't? Yes. Well, she doesn't make herself known very often unless you piss her off.
Yeah, but where does she originate from?
I don't think that I pissed her off. I just think that she wanted to be left alone the time that I experienced her. I don't exactly know where she come from or why she was there or why she is there. But I do know that the property that Old South Pittsburgh sits on has went through several transformations over the years. As far back as the 1800s, it used to be a plantation, and some of the plantation burned, and there were several people killed in the plantation. So a lot of times you will interact with the grandfather and the 2 grandchildren that was killed on the plantation.
Oh, wow.
That they'll actually be inside the hospital walls.
Oh, wow.
Huh. I bet you never knew of the plantation.
Yes, I did.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
Oh.
That was actually talked about in our actual beginning of when I talked about the history of the location. Long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
Where was I?
Not tonight, but when we were doing our OSPH episode.
Oh, okay. I was like, what? Okay.
But I do have a question.
Yeah, and there's also been an Indian chief seen by Renee on the property back at the beginning of the fall. He was walking. There's a road that goes behind the ER that you can actually go up around the backside of Old South Pittsburgh, and it's an actual road that you can still drive on.
Mm-hmm.
And she's seen an Indian chief walking down that road, and come to find out that there's also an Indian burial mound up on the hill behind Old South Pittsburgh, like up towards the top of the hill, that's not been disturbed since it's been there.
Wow.
There's a bunch of Indian
kind of the interesting stuff that we found out doing the remodeling and trying to get everything back to where the public can go in there and be safe about going in there.
Okay, true or false? And I'm just going to throw some out there. We have all experienced all different things at OSPH. A lot of people have been inside of its walls. We have people that still want to be inside of its walls that haven't had the privilege of going in there yet.
How about inside the building? I don't want to be inside a wall.
Well, you know what I mean. Through all the stories and legends, and this gets into kind of like, of course, OSPH is not part of Truth and Legends that's coming out, but we all know what OSPH is. There's a lot of truth to OSPH. There's a lot of legends to OSPH. And I'm going to throw some of them out there. You give me your own interpretation of OSPH in that form of fashion. of just maybe your
Okay.
personal experiences or stuff that you have learned from other teams or other people that have been there. Nellie on the second floor.
Truth. Third floor, actually.
Well, I mean, okay, the third floor.
See, you get confused
Yeah.
too.
Because I know.
Yeah, I actually finally, not long ago, I finally actually had her directly answer me on an EVP, and it took her years to actually directly answer me.
Okay. Of course, me and Gavin has personally experienced this, but the little boy on the third floor, about the story about the snakes, and he thought they were worms.
Timmy.
He is on the second floor in the ER. That's where his story's at. That's where he. There is a little boy on the third floor, but it's not actually a little boy. It's the shadow guy that I was talking about earlier, the creeper they call him. But that's kind of two separate stories. There is a story about Timmy, about the snakes, but we have yet to actually find documented evidence that actually happened.
Well, I know that when me and Gavin were there, we were on the third floor. This is the reason why I ask about the third floor, is because the experience that me and Gavin and a couple other members that were there with us, we actually had got an interesting EVP, and it sounds like a little child's voice, and it's called. It says worms.
Yeah. We were like, "What did you put? What did you think that you were putting in your pocket?" And it came up and said, "Worms." And,
Yeah.
And it was like, it was not worms; they were baby copperheads.
Yeah, he may venture up there occasionally, but normally, if you're interacting with Timmy, it will be around the ER. But like I said, and when it gets opened back to the public, we're only going to tell stories that we can actually document, and we can actually give you the proof that actually happened. And it could have also been the creeper trying to manipulate you and trying to trick you into getting your guard down and to getting your trust. And then he would basically, more or less do what he wanted to after he gained your trust, because he's normally on the third floor and he does normally mimic a child, and he likes to stay around the nursery area because he wants to get to, or he wanted to get to the children in the nursery to feed off their energy.
So the crying of babies in the nursery.
Yeah, remember that experiment that we did?
Yeah.
We had a sound of crying babies, and then we got an EVP that basically said, "Shut them up."
Yeah, that's truth. The crying babies is truth, and the shut 'em up would have been the creeper trying to. Yeah. Pretty much.
That was funny. I mean, it was getting so annoying, and I'm just sitting there going, "Oh my God, can we just turn this off?" And it just kept getting louder and louder, and finally we just heard it. It's like, "Shut them up!"
Yeah.
Let's see. What was the other stories? Oh, the doctor in the X-ray room.
I haven't experienced the doctor in the X-ray room.
Okay, this is the X-ray room that's close to the ER.
Yeah, I haven't experienced a doctor in there. The thing that I experienced was we had, I think it was, I guess, a patient that we had a K2 sitting in a wheelchair, and the patient wanted to go from the ER to get an X-ray, and the K2 was hitting the whole time, and we rolled the wheelchair with the K2 over to the X-ray. And it seemed like the patient or whoever was in the wheelchair got up, done whatever they needed to in the X-ray. They were ready to go back to the ER, so we took them over to the ER. But it was a whole drawn out like process for like 30 minutes, and it was the craziest thing that I'd seen.
Did your name ever get called out at OSPH?
Mine has not. It has told. I was pretending to be a pharmacist or a pharmacy tech one of the times when we went there, and I got an EVP that says I want the drugs.
I want a new drug.
Yeah, I was basically going around asking them, if anybody needed their medicine or if it was time for anybody's medicine, were they in pain or anything like that. And I got an EVP that says I want the drugs around the pharmacy, by the way. So
the dark entity in the chapel in the basement.
Oh, yeah, him.
Well, for one thing, that's not actually where the chapel was. The chapel was actually on the second floor, close to the bigger nurses' station. Basically, right when you come out of the stairway, that you could go out to the courtyard, or you could go up to the third floor or down to the first floor.
Yep.
Yeah.
There is a door right across from there, and it's a heavy door, and it was a very small chapel. But the reason that they called the main downstairs the chapel was because he had all those church pews and things in there. But actually, at one time, I think that was used as a tuberculosis separation area. And it had also probably been used as a morgue at one time, and as a break room for the nurses and the doctors.
A heck of a combination.
Good Lord.
Yeah, and I think at one time records was stored down there, so it's been quite a few things. I haven't actually experienced any down there myself, but Renee, who will be like the tour manager, she and one of her other team members was down there investigating one time, and they were sitting in the pews, and she could actually see somebody sitting behind her team member, and they were the only two down there. And she said she thought it was possibly either a doctor or some kind of orderly, because they had some kind of white jacket or white scrubs on.
All I know is when we went there, we had Brandon with us, and he refused to go down there. He's like, I ain't going in there. I'm like, why? It's called the fake chapel. Why? Why don't you want to go in there?
Yeah.
He's like, I ain't going in there. But there was something funny that when we went down into the basement where James is, and he's over there asking questions, and the periscope is like lighting up here and there, and I was like, do something. Go over there and touch him upside the head. And Brandon's like, no, don't come over here and touch me. And then Joe gets a little wise. He's like, call me a nasty name. And right across the echo box, we get asshole. Oh, yeah, that was awesome.
Speaking of James, is James in the basement correct?
He is. There's actually two different ones. There's a James that was an old maintenance man, and actually he is not dead. So it's not actually James that you were talking to in the basement. It was Jim's brother, Don. That he was also a maintenance man at one time for Old South Pittsburgh, and he kind of had like a Cajun type accent because he had lived in Louisiana for a while. So a lot of times the James and Jim kind of gets like mixed up together. But when you get back in there, the very first floor, when you come through the double doors, like would have been the main entrance for the hospital back when it was actually a working hospital.
Right.
Right to the direct right down that hallway would have been Jim's apartment. And he is very, very active in that area, especially if you're cleaning out his apartment or painting or doing some kind of work in his area.
Yeah.
He is like right there looking or making sure that you're doing it right. And because we have even went as far as we have seen a full-bodied like man walking past like the glass double doors there, and it was so real that Ron thought someone had broke into the building, so he went in there, took off to see why somebody was in the building, and there was nobody there.
So, I got a question. Did you open the refrigerator?
Yeah, go ahead.
Did you open the refrigerator?
No, they took the fridge out, and we did not open the fridge. The fridge is gone.
When we were in there in Jim's apartment, I opened the refrigerator and about gagged. I was like, "Oh, God!" Yeah, we checked out all those rooms down there, and oh my gosh, it was rough to even walk in those rooms. I mean, you were stepping on so much stuff, and especially if you're just going in there looking at the view screen on your camera. Oh man, you had to have a flashlight.
Yeah, all that stuff is gone now. There are walls that's not there anymore that was put up when he was using it as an apartment. It's more or less going to look now more like the hospital rooms that it was used for, like offices and things like that. A lot of them is just going to be blank, empty rooms, but they are going to keep the one main room that was Jim's bedroom and kind of make it into like a memorial to Jim with some of the stuff that they found in there, which is some stuff that you wouldn't necessarily think that you would find in an old hospital, but it was stuff that tied into Jim's life. But it will be on display very soon, probably sometime within this year after the hospital gets opened back up.
Yeah. There's another thing that I thought that was kind of weird. What? Was there a recording studio there?
There was, yeah.
What I thought.
Yeah, Dr. Hayes had that built for Jim and Jim's partner at the time. His name was Kyle. He had that built, and they were actually renting it out to like local bands and stuff, so they could come in there and do recordings and things like that. And it also ties back to with how Jim died, because Jim had died from an apparent overdose. He had taken too much medicine. And I think his partner Kyle was actually in the recording studio either with a band or recording something himself. And Jim couldn't get his attention to tell him that something was wrong, and he ended up dying like a few doors down from the recording studio.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because we spent some time down there, and I was walking around, and I'm like, I saw the structure, and I'm like, no, this can't be it. This can't be. And Chad, my camera guy, goes, what? I'm like, this looks like a recording studio. And he was like, nah, it looked like someplace where they'd bring a patient down here and
test their hearing.
You beat them and you can't hear them scream. I'm like, no, dude, seriously. It is a recording studio. These are the mic rooms. And really, a couple of them you couldn't get in. There was one that you could get in, but then there were other ones that were just loaded with stuff that you couldn't get in. But I saw the double glass, the framework. I'm like, this is a recording studio.
Yeah, all that stuff is gone. We took 7 or 8 of the big, long dumpsters full of stuff out of there. And that was just the first floor. That wasn't even any other floors.
Is the studio still in there, or did you take all that out?
Yeah, the studio part is still in there, yeah.
Yeah, because that would be a pain in the butt to rip out, especially with all that foam.
All that
all that insulation to soundproof it. Good God, that would take a while.
What about the library?
Oh, yeah.
I know there was a lot of water damage in that area, but the library was always... That's the first thing I learned about OSPH was the library, and that the books moved, or books got thrown at you if you were in there doing an EVP session.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the books and stuff that was in there, they've been taken out and donated. The ones that could be donated, some of them was in such bad condition that we just had to throw them away. So.
I remember the first time we were in there, we actually got activity. The millimeter jumped up to 12.2, and it was in a threshold going out of that room for the library, going toward Jim's apartment.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like right there, and I was looking up. I was like, "There's no electric line or anything." But dang, this sucker jumped to 12 when we were in there. And then we heard what sounded like something fell, and then we turned around and looked. There was a book on the floor.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's really active down there on the first floor. I think a lot more active than anybody had any idea that it was, but it definitely is, especially if you're in Jim's area. He's all the time in there, like, why are you in my area? He's either looking at you or doing something. So it's pretty interesting there. So.
Well, in all your years of investigating, have you ever been scratched, bit, pushed, tugged, tripped by an unseen force?
I get my hair pulled on a pretty regular basis, like right at the main top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
And I have had an entity touch me before, and it was in a old historic home that had slave quarters and stuff in it, still in Prestonsburg, Kentucky.
Okay.
Yeah. But other than that, no scratches or anything like that. And if I knew something, if something tripped me, I probably thought that I just fell over my own feet. So I'm not really for sure if anything's ever tripped me or not on purpose. So.
Well, I've been all of them except for bit. I got tripped carrying a $4,000 camera.
Oh, wow.
And we were at a place called the Massac County Courthouse, and our guest for that night was Lori Johnson, which is the psychic from Ghost of Shepherdstown. And she basically said, be careful. There's a warning. Watch out or something like that. And I'm like, okay, but see, unfortunately, it doesn't happen right then and there, but it's coming. So we were on Facebook Live. I was on Facebook Live, and Paula was on Facebook Live. And I turned the corner to go down the stairs, and all of a sudden, you see me go down diagonal. I got pushed, and everybody can see it. So it's like,
wow, that's crazy.
She was warning me. So yeah, everybody asked me, it's like, so did you get hurt? I'm like, oh, I didn't worry about me. I worried about the camera.
Yeah.
So I had to brace my fall against the wall and catch myself. So, but scratched, yeah, I've been kicked in the shin. I've had paper cuts down my palm. Paula got scratched for the first time. I was so happy. We were at Malvern Manor in Malvern, Iowa, and she was up in Hank's bedroom, and she was asking, "Why do you taunt women? What do you have against women? Do you have a problem with women?" And I got the camera on her. All of a sudden, she just looks at me. She goes, "I got a burning sensation on my back," and I'm like, "Yes, you got scratched." And she's like, "Although I'm not sharing your enthusiasm, come over here and look." So I had to put the camera down. And I walked on over there, lifted her shirt, and sure enough, there's a scratch going from the bottom of her, well, actually, it was above her bra strap, under the bra strap, straight down.
Wow. So. Yeah, I do remember last Halloween I got, we was at, it's called McRaven Manor here in Brentwood, Tennessee. They don't usually let any kind of paranormal investigations or anything like that, but one of the teams that I work with, sometimes Nashville Paranormal, had allowed them to come in there and do a public investigation, and I was helping them demonstrate the Estes method that you see on Kindred Spirits all the time, where you deprive yourself of all your senses but your hearing. And while I was demonstrating the Estes method for the public group, something actually hauled off and kicked my tennis shoe right, toe to toe, basically. And the weird thing about that was my foot was under a table.
Oh, wow.
like it was under a coffee table.
Right.
And there was no way that anything could have kicked my foot, or anything living could have kicked my foot, because my foot was under a coffee table.
You're like, damn it, who's playing footsie with me?
Yeah, and then I was like, okay, well, that's weird, because my foot is under the table, and it felt like somebody just hauled off and kicked my foot just as hard as they could.
Now, the SD method, you deprive all your senses. Basically, you can't see because you're blindfolded. You can't hear because you have headphones on, and I believe you have the SB7 pumped into it. And then you have your partner on the side asking questions, and the one that has the headphones on basically has to just spout out whatever is coming through the SB7.
Yeah, you answer whatever you can basically make out or basically understand what has coming through. Sometimes it says stuff so rapidly you can't catch exactly what it says, and then sometimes it answers so clearly that you can actually definitively say, you know, and that's the way I do it. If I hear something and I don't exactly know what it's saying, I won't call it out. But if I know exactly what it says, that's when I say whatever I get through the headphones.
Hey, while we were talking, and we were talking about the SDs, did you happen to hear the female voice that went,
No, I did not.
We did. We got a voice that said,
Wow.
It agreed with you.
It did. Well, the funny thing is, this is the second time now. We were talking to Doogie one night, and we got a ghost chicken. He didn't hear it. But
Everybody else
We heard it, and all our listeners heard it. But this time, there was a woman that went,
Wow. Yeah, and there's no women in my house right now. So.
Well, you don't know that.
That's pretty cool.
No, well, there's no living women, put it that way.
Yeah, but that's pretty cool. I mean, I heard it, and I kind of didn't want to say anything, and then I looked at her, and I saw the look on her face, and I'm like, okay, so obviously I heard it. And when she looked at me, she goes, "Did you hear the woman went, I'm like, yep. I heard it. I'm going to have to play it back and listen to it. I'll send you the clip. But, yeah, there is a woman saying,
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just certain thing kind of triggers something. We don't have a female here.
Well, we have a little boy
We have a little boy and a grumpy father, but we haven't seen them in a long time. Of course, wait a minute. Oh, you said something that turned on the TV, right? Or was the TV on?
What? When we came home today? All I did say was Alexis turned the lights on, and it turned everything on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we got the Alexa, but we have a 5-year-old little boy that died of whooping cough, and he loves to play with my TV.
Yeah, and our TV is high up on the wall there, and
you can see the fingerprints.
Yeah, little teeny tiny fingerprints.
I'll wipe that sucker down, and next thing you know, you'll see fingerprints on it.
Wow.
He tries to turn it on. One night really freaked me out. I'm like, all right, I'm going to bed. I'm like yawning, stretching. Turn my back, and the damn TV goes back on. I'm like, okay, I know I turned it off, so I turn it back off. And I get back up, and it turns back on, and it goes to cartoons. I'm like, okie dokie. So I'm like, all right. I go, Freddie, it's bedtime. I'm going to bed. Leave the TV alone. I crawled into bed.
And I do a lot of times have like my grandparents and stuff around me, but they don't normally like answer like verbally or on EVPs. Like I have one, my nanny, that if she's around, you'll smell like breakfast or coffee.
That's like
and you smell it in the weirdest places at the weirdest time. You can be out in the middle of nowhere driving on the 4-lane or driving through the country or whatever.
Wow.
No houses, no restaurants, anything around, and then you'll smell like coffee or breakfast cooking.
That's like...
And the way my friends know that they passed the test is when my grandma comes and they smell the cooking or the coffee. That way they know that she approves of them being with me. And she'll be with us a lot of times when we're either going to or from a paranormal investigation, just so that I know that she's around me protecting me while I'm doing my investigating. And I also wear her ring all the time. I wear a clear crystal quartz, I wear a black tourmaline, and I wear her ring on a necklace around my neck when I'm doing a paranormal investigation.
That's cool. I know Paula's mother hanged around here. I saw her once. She showed up on the wall when I was using an app by Joe Demare. And basically what it does is it kind of does like a negative effect, but not really. It just sucks the light out, and whatever's left behind has an image. Well, the image was her mom. So we're assuming that she was checking up to see if I was right for her or something. I don't know.
And also, and on occasion, my grandfather comes and visits.
The cigars?
Yeah, no. Lucky Strike cigarettes.
Oh, God, that stuff stinks.
The unfiltered kind.
That stuff stinks. Oh, my goodness. All right, well, we got 10 minutes to go, and this is your time to go ahead and do your plugs, events that you're going to have, events that you're going to, websites, where people can find you. So the floor is yours.
All right, that's quite a bit, so get ready for the rundown. So here we go. The very next event will be the grand reopening of Old South Pittsburgh on March the 23rd, and that's with the Tennessee Wraith Chasers. The next event after that will be in Pikeville, Kentucky at Hillbilly Days. We're doing a Hatfield McCoy-centered ghost walk, and it's actually the second annual or the second year that we'll be doing that ghost walk, and it will be on April the 12th and the 13th. And then the very next weekend after that, on April the 20th, we'll be having a public paranormal investigation at Short Mountain Distillery with Jack Kenna and Rick McCullen from the Hollywood Ghost Hunters. And that event, you will actually get a 3-course meal. You will be able to upgrade to a Spirits with the Spirits package where you get to do a product tasting from Short Mountain Distillery. We are doing a bonfire complete with s'mores and everything before the investigation or during a break during the investigation. And then on top of that, you get a full investigation till about 2 a.m. And then the weekend after that, I'm going back to Wilden Manor for an event on April the 27th, and the special guest at that one is going to be Gateway Paranormal. And Gateway Paranormal is actually doing a documentary that's going to be premiering on June the 8th. It's called Uncovering Wilden, and they're actually going to film the last part of the documentary of Uncovering Wilden at the event on April the 27th. And then in May, on the 11th, I'm going to have another event with the Tennessee Wraith Chasers at Alton, Illinois, at the Mineral Springs Mall. The Wraith Chasers that is going to be a part of that is Chris and Doogie and Mike. And then on May the 18th, I am doing a public investigation at the Palace Theater, and a lot of people will recognize the Palace Theater if you watched the last season of Haunted Live, or if you've watched some of the other seasons of the Wraith Chaser shows like Ghost Asylum or Haunted Towns. It has been featured on, I think, Haunted Towns, and I know for sure it was featured on Haunted Live. And then in June, on the 1st, we'll be having another event at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital with Amy Bruni. It will actually be Amy's first time investigating the hospital. She has come and visited the hospital while it's been remodeled, but she has never investigated there. And I think Gateway Paranormal is also going to be a part of that event as well, helping to lead tours and things besides Amy. And then on June the 8th, I will have another event with Gateway Paranormal at the Palace Theater where we will be premiering their documentary Uncovering Wilden. It will be a premiere of the movie, and then there's going to be a ghost hunt afterward. And then the very last part of June, on the 28th and 29th, we are going to be having a Para-Unity conference at Old South Pittsburgh, and there's going to be a lot of people that's going to be a part of that. It's going to be Andrea Perron, Jack Kenna, Soul Star Mediums. You and Paula are going to be there. Going to have James McDaniel, a.k.a. Peppermint Fatty, who is one of the hosts of Haunted Live. We're having Keith Ramsey there from Southern Paranormal, the R.I.P. Girls, and Three Girls in the Dark, and, of course, my team, R&R Paranormal, Rednecks and Rainbows, J.B. Coates, paranormal author and paranormal investigator. She's also a host of that event along with myself. And a whole host of other events to round out the year. We're going to have an event in July, specifically July the 13th at Octagon Hall. Going to have an event on August the 10th at Perryville Battlefield. That's also going to be with the Tennessee Rave Chasers. Mm-hmm. We're having a event on National Ghost Hunting Weekend on September the 28th back at Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. I'm going to try to get the Rave Chasers back for that one as well. At least 2 of them, maybe 3 of them, hopefully all 4. I'm not for sure. I'm still in discussions with them about that. And in October at Old South Pittsburgh again, on the 19th, we're going to have an event with Katrina Weedman. And it's her first time coming to Old South Pittsburgh and actually investigating the hospital. So it should be pretty interesting to see what she actually finds there and what she, how she does her investigation techniques and all that stuff. And finally, November the 9th, we're going to be having the final event with the Rave Chasers at the Athenaeum in Columbia, Tennessee. And the Athenaeum has also been featured on Haunted Live. If you've watched Pickler and Ben, Kelly Pickler, it's been featured on their show at one time or another. Mm-hmm. And various other paranormal productions and things like that. So I've got a full year of things going on. And other than events, I'm going to be at the West Virginia Penitentiary Para Convention July the 20th. I'm also going to be at Scarefest September I think it's the 12th through the 14th this year.
Yeah.
And I'm also going to be at CreepyCon, which is August the 22nd through the 24th, I believe, in Knoxville.
Oh, wow.
So, and during all this, I'm going to be filming for Truth or Legends in your hometown. So I'm going to be very, very busy this year.
You sound like us. We have 2 shows that we're filming.
Plus a movie.
And a movie, yes. We have two TV shows and a movie that we're filming. Plus we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 Paracons that we're involved in.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and if anybody is interested in any of those events or any of the cons that we're going to be at, you can go on our Facebook at Paranormal Adventures Event Management, Rednecks and Rainbows Paranormal. I also have a public page, which is TJ Justice Paranormal Investigator. Or if you're wanting to get tickets, you can go to www.ticketleap.com/paranormal adventures events, or some of them are also on Eventbrite, which is just www.eventbrite.com/paranormal-adventures-events. So, but the easiest way to find out the tickets and if there are any still available is just go to the Facebook page, and all the links for all the tickets for the different events will be on the Facebook page.
All right. Well, there you have it. Long list. Probably the longest list of events and total promotions than we have ever had on this show. A full 10 minutes. That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm a glutton for punishment, evidently. So.
But you guys have been listening to Greg TJ Justice. He is the owner of Paranormal Adventures Events, and if you were listening, you would have captured all of the events that he's having this year. He's basically booked from now until November, so check him out. And man, we do appreciate you being on the show. We had an awesome time with you. And
yeah, I appreciate y'all having me on.
Hey, not a problem, not a problem. So we will be in touch probably soon.
Yes, and I definitely look forward to working with y'all when you come out and film your all's part of the Truth or Legends show.
Oh yeah, we're
definitely
we're looking forward to it, and also possibly going to the Athenaeum April 6th.
Yep.
So we'll definitely need you over there to go ahead and tell us some stories and stuff.
I will be there.
All right, man. Well, you have yourself a great rest of the evening, and we'll talk to you later.
Enjoy the rest of your night.
All right.
All right, then.
You too.
All right.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye.
All right. Well, for the past 2 hours, you have been listening to Greg T. Justice, and you've already heard all his events, so let me go ahead and tell you our events. We have Paracon events for 2019. May 4th and 5th, we're going to be at the ParapsychCon in Mansfield, Ohio, at the Ohio State Reformatory. May 10th and 11th, we'll be at Haunted Con, Dog Patch, USA, Marble Falls, Arkansas. We're actually going to be investigating a haunted amusement park. June 28th and 29th, the Para-Unity Conference, South Pittsburgh, Tennessee, at, yes, you named it, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital. July 19th, we're going to be at the Farrar Beyond the Grave in Maxwell, Iowa, at the Farrar Elementary School. July 26th through the 28th, we're going to be making our way all the way up to Pennsylvania to the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash. September 6th and 7th, we are going to be at SilCon in Mattoon, Illinois. And September 14th is the Paracon 2019 in Van Buren, Arkansas. Next week on the Phantasmic Journey podcast, we're going to be joined by Dalton Jones, and he is with, I believe he's with Southern Souls Paranormal. So stay tuned for that podcast. And I hope everybody had a great time tonight, and we'll look forward to hanging with you guys next week. Have a good one.
Good night.
The Phantasmic Journey Podcast is brought to you by Tascam and Amazon Studios. For more than 30 years, Tascam has developed products for every segment of the sound and music industry. From the high-end audio professional in a major post-production studio to the novice of hobbyist at home, Tascam is everywhere. They are a company committed to providing their customers audio and video solutions that enable breakthroughs by using sound in ways that are exciting as they are accessible, even recording the voices of the dead. You asked for a non-scripted paranormal TV show. You begged for a non-staged paranormal TV show. You begged and you pleaded, and we have listened. We present to you Season 1 of The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown. It was released October 31st, 2017. In this series, we show you what it's like behind the scenes and conducting a real paranormal investigation. Join Gavin Kelly, Colin Purcell, and their special guests to seek out the existence of life after death by going to numerous haunted locations such as jails, hospitals, battlefields, and museums, collecting compelling evidence by means of video, photography, and EVPs. In this season, the crew investigates the St. Albans Sanatorium, Old South Pittsburgh Hospital, Jailhouse Pizza, and the famed Monroe House. And you can watch Season 1 of The Paranormal Journey into the Unknown on Amazon.com right now. Season 2 and 3 will be coming soon.